The Demon King is obsessed with me. I prepare dinner, excited to make my favorite pasta for a cozy Saturday night. But just as the water began to boil, the power cuts out. Ugh, just my luck. Can't I even cook in peace? Why does this stuff always happen to me? As I grope around for my phone, a shadow flickers in the darkness. I freeze, my heart racing. What was that? It must just be my imagination. My hands tremble as I fumble with my phone, desperately trying to turn on the flashlight. A beam swept across the room, and my breath catches. My heart nearly stops. Standing before me is a massive, terrifying figure. A beast with enormous black wings, curved horns, sharp, long ears, and long flowing black hair. His muscular frame radiates power, and his glowing red eyes bore straight into me. He frowns, his deep, rough voice breaking the silence. Why am I here, mortal? I rub my eyes hard, convinced it's just my imagination. But when I open them, the figure is still there, staring at me with unwavering intensity. Flashback. 2 hours ago, bored with another Saturday evening, I aimlessly clicked through websites, hoping to find something to break my monotony. At 25 with no friends, and a life that revolved around my office and apartment. Loneliness had become a constant companion. I clicked on random links, risking my safety for a brief spark of excitement. Then, I stumbled upon a strange site filled with bizarre symbols and odd texts about demons. Skeptical but curious, I continued to explore, discovering content on witchcraft, magic, and a link claiming to summon a demon. I laughed. What a ridiculous prank. But then, I saw an incantation in red text, written in an ancient language. I didn't understand. Intrigued, I read it out loud, amused by the silliness of it all. Nothing happened, of course. I shook my head, chuckling at my own foolishness, before giving up and deciding to cook a dinner and watch a movie. Flashback ends. I stare at the figure before me, gripping my hair in terror. This can't be real. Can it? Every time I glance at him, he seems more solid. Why is this happening? I whispered. You summoned me, his deep voice rumbled. I did? My mind races to the strange incantations I recited earlier. Did you forget all really? He sneers. Now tell me, why summon me? His tone turns menacing. It was an accident, I stammered. Who are you? I am Azazel, the Demon King, he said arrogantly, standing tall. Every being fears me. I gape horrified. What have I done? I'm sorry. Just leave. I tried to sound calm. Accident, he scoffed. You recited the incantation, binding us together. Foolish mortal. He mocks. The website is how we demons stay connected with our followers. You are now bound to me. I didn't mean to. How long is this bind supposed to last? That depends on your desires, he smirks. What do you want from me? Nothing, just for you to leave, I yell. That's something I can't do, at least not right now, he replied nonchalantly, his tone almost teasing. Then, are you staying like this? I asked, annoyed, glancing nervously at his intimidating form. Ah, I see now. You're frightened by my demon form, he said, his grin widening. Very well. Let me make myself more presentable. In an instant, the fiery beast was gone, replaced by a handsome man. His wings vanished, his horns reduced to stubs, and his eyes now had a pinkish hue, much softer than a blood-red blaze. He appeared more human, yet still otherworldly. I couldn't help but stare at his rugged physique, glossy black hair, and his devilish smile that played on his lips. He looks unreal, like a dream I couldn't wake from. Like what you see, he smirks, his gaze lingering on me. I'll be sleeping with you. No way! Don't get any ideas in your head. You'll be sleeping on the couch, I shot back defiantly. What a pity, he grins amused. I glare, already planning how to get rid of him in the morning. Next morning, after breakfast, I searched online for ways to send Azazel back. But every website offered bizarre solutions that didn't seem to work. As I was about to give up, I felt a sudden heat on my neck. I turned around to find Azazel grinning, way too close. Found something, he teased. Hands on my shoulders. What are you doing? I asked, annoyed. Spending time with you. Is that wrong? He replied, pouting. Yes, I snapped back, giving him a shove. Stay out of my space. Aw, I thought we could be great friends. Or more, he winked. Ugh, you're annoying, I muttered, wishing for an escape. Azazel chuckled and casually sat down beside me like he owned the place. For someone who summoned the Demon King, you're not very hospitable, he mocked. Ignoring him, I went back to my laptop. He leaned over my shoulder, his breath warm against my ear. What are you looking for now, he asked. A way to send you back, I said bluntly. What if I don't want to go? He whispered, teasing. I glared back at him. You're going back there whether you like it or not. But bothering you is fun, he said with a wink. Strolling into the living room, I buried my face in my hands. This is going to be a long day. Ugh. In the evening, I couldn't find a way to send Azazel back, and he was no help. Instead, unknowingly seemed to be his favorite pastime. Frustrated, I tried my best to make the best of it. Why don't you tell me about yourself? You seem to enjoy boasting. I said, hoping to extract something useful. Oh, I'm more interested in you, he teased, his tone playful. Forget it. Talking to you is pointless. I'm making dinner, I muttered, exasperated. I retreated to the kitchen, eager for some peace. But, of course, Azazel followed. Do you mind? As I glared at him as he casually leaned against the counter. Not at all, he smirked. Are you not going to ask what I want for dinner? I didn't think demons ate human food, I shot back. Of course we do, he said smoothly. Especially when it's cooked by someone as good-looking as you. Flushed with annoyance, I snapped back. If you want dinner, cook it yourself. But I'm your guest, he feigned innocence. Then grabbed the knife from my hand. Allow me to assist. I stared back at him, stunned. What are you doing? Relax, he grinned. You'll see, I have many talents. To my shock, he sliced the vegetables with precision, handled the chicken effortlessly, and even grilled it to golden perfection. When he finished, the dish looked like something from a 5-star restaurant. I'm surprised you can cook, I said, still processing the sight. We demons can be full of surprises, he winked. I've been fascinated by humans for a while. Your food caught my attention, and it wasn't that hard to learn. When the casserole was ready, the aroma filled the room. My mouth watered, but I tried to stay neutral as he offered me a piece. I reluctantly took a bite, and the flavor exploded in my mouth. Amazing! I fought to maintain a neutral expression. It's not bad, I said, feigning indifference. Azazel chuckled. Really? Because your face tells a different story. I felt heat rise to my cheeks. It's not a big deal. Anyone can make this, I defended. Maybe, he smirked, but not like me. I wouldn't taste the same. His smugness was infuriating, but I had no comeback, annoyingly. He wasn't wrong. Next morning, I was getting ready for work when Azazel suddenly barged in, casually leaning against the doorframe. Going somewhere? He asked, his voice laced with curiosity. Yes, I said, brushing past him. Unlike you, I have to work. Well, take me with you, he said nonchalantly. Crazy! I shot back, pointing at his horns and sharp ears. How could I take you out in public? Relax, he grinned. No one will notice. I'll blend in. Not a chance, I said, crossing my arms. You're staying here. Alone? He pouted with mock puppy dog eyes. I sighed, refusing to be charmed. Yes, and you'll survive. I left for the office, hoping Azazel wouldn't cause trouble. But as I drove, a strange sensation pricked the back of my neck. I glanced in the rearview mirror and nearly swerved off the road. There he was, Azazel, grinning in the back seat. What the? I slammed on the brakes, the car screeching to a halt. What are you doing here? I yelled in disbelief. He rested his chin on the passenger seat with a smug smile. What? No good morning? Rude. Get out! I snapped, twisting in my seat to glare at him. What are you doing in my back seat? He pouted, leaning back like he owned the place. I decided to hitch a ride. Thought I'd keep you company. I groaned, dragging a hand down my face. What am I supposed to do with you? Nothing, he grinned. Just let me stay by your side. Isn't that what you secretly want? Not even close, I muttered, slamming the car door into gear. Buckle up, or I'm throwing you out. I focused on driving, though his presence was like an itch I couldn't scratch. Where exactly are we headed, he asked, peering out the window like a curious tourist. My office, I replied, through gritted teeth. And you're not stepping inside. We'll see about that, he mused, his voice full of mischief. An hour later, when I parked outside the office building, I turned to Azazel. With as much authority as I could muster, stay in the car. He smirked. I make no promises. I sighed, practically throwing myself out of the car and slamming the door behind me. As I walked towards the building, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. I walked into my office, trying to focus on anything other than the trouble Azazel might be causing. That demon was driving me crazy. If only I could find a way to get rid of him. Good morning, Rowan, Taylor greeted me as I entered. And I tried to push the thoughts of Azazel away. Good morning, Tyler. Who's the handsome man? He asked, glancing over my shoulder. What? I said, confused. I turned around and froze. Azazel was standing there with that damn smirk on his face. He's just a friend, I said quickly, trying to not act casual, though I could feel my face heating up. I took Azazel aside, away from prying eyes of my co-workers. What are you doing here? I muttered under my breath. I came to meet your friends, Azazel said, waving at someone behind me, as if it was the most normal thing in the world. You leave. Right now, I said, my frustration bubbling up. I will. In some time, he replied, completely ignoring my command. I knew it was pointless to argue, so I walked away, giving him one last warning. Don't cause trouble. I'll try, he said, winking at me in that infuriating way of his. I sat down at my desk, trying my best to ignore Azazel, but I couldn't help but glance over at him from time to time. He was chatting away with my colleagues, completely at ease, as if he belonged there. As I worked, I could hear snippets of their conversation. Azazel was effortlessly charming, laughing at jokes and fitting in like he'd been here for years. I wanted to scream. How is he managing to blend in so quickly? After what felt like hours, I finally got up, made my way over to him, and tapped him on the shoulder. Okay, that's enough, I said, my voice firm. Azazel turned around, that damn grin plastered on his face. His eyes twinkled with mischief. You're no fun, Rowan. I was just getting to know everyone. Come on, we're leaving, I said firmly, grabbing his hand and pulling him away from my co-workers. I could feel their curious stares burning into us. Their eyes were filled with confusion and speculation. Azazel's presence was like a ticking time bomb, and it felt like he was determined to ruin every part of my life. 3 days later, I finally managed to keep Azazel away from my office. The first 2 days, he barged in like he owned the place. But on the third day, I told him I'd take him out later, and surprisingly, that was the only thing that got him to listen. In those 3 days, I hadn't figured out a way to send him back. It seemed like I was stuck with him. While his presence was constantly annoying, I had to admit he made the best food in the world. It was an endless cycle of frustration and unexpected perks. As I walked through the door after a long day, Azazel asked, "What are you planning to do today?" "Why? Do you want to do something special?" I raised an eyebrow. My conversations with him had become more casual, and he didn't annoy me as much as before. It was almost like we'd reached an unspoken truce. "Maybe we could go out," he suggested, flashing a smile that, for once, didn't seem obnoxious. Where would we go?" I asked, curious. "I know a place. You just need to say yes," he replied with a hint of mischief. I hesitated, taken aback by the offer, but curiosity won over. "All right, let's go." A few hours later, Azazel brought us to a quiet restaurant by a beautiful lake. The serene ambience, with the gentle sound of water lapping over the shore and a sky full of twinkling stars, made it perfect. The place was peaceful, and the food was incredible. I wore a casual shirt and jeans, trying to keep it low-key, while Azazel looked effortlessly handsome in a sleek suit. He always knew how to dress for any occasion, making everything around him more enchanting. I couldn't help but grin at him, feeling genuinely happy. "What's going on?" he asked, amused by my reaction. "This place is beautiful." "Thank you for bringing me here," I said, my voice serene. "Aw, getting soft with me, Rowan?" he teased, leaning in slightly. As I looked into his eyes, a flutter in my chest caught me off guard. I breathed in sharply. "What's going on in that head of yours, mortal?" he asked, running his fingers lightly across my cheek, his voice low and teasing. I froze for a moment, my heart racing. What's happening? I wasn't supposed to feel this way. Not with a demon like him, but the way he touched me made everything feel different. No, I don't," I stammered, flustered. He chuckled, leaning in until our lips were almost touching each other. "Are you sure?" he murmured, his lips brushing mine in a teasing whisper. My breath caught, a strange pull drawing me closer. I knew I should resist, but at that moment, all I could think about was the space between us, charged with anticipation. I pulled back slightly, trying to steady myself. "You're impossible," I muttered. Azazel's eyes sparkled with mischief as he straightened up. "Maybe," he said with a wink, "but I think you're starting to enjoy it." Next day, it was Saturday night again. Exactly a week since Azazel had first appeared in my house. He was still as infuriatingly charming as ever, and I'd pretty much given up on finding ways to send him back. Honestly, I wasn't sure I even wanted him to leave. Not that I would ever admit that to him. "Are you thinking about me?" Azazel asked, appearing out of nowhere. I rolled my eyes, as if I have better things to do. He smirked. "Liar. I know you were thinking about kissing me." He'd rushed off my cheeks, but I quickly brushed it off. "In your dreams," I shot back, trying to sound unaffected. Azazel stepped in front of me, blocking my way. "You never told me about yourself. I want to know everything." Why?" I asked, confused. "Now that we're living together, it's better if we knew everything about each other. Like your boyfriends, your friends, your hobbies." He trailed off, as if mentally checking off a list. I flushed. "Why do you need to know all that?" "To be more comfortable with each other," he said, his eyes glinting mischievously. "So, how many boyfriends have you had? 3? 4? I crossed my arms, sure this wasn't just another one of his schemes to annoy me. "You're impossible." He shrugged unfazed. "Hey, I was just asking." "Well, go annoy someone else," I retorted. "But I don't have anyone else. And you're my favorite," he said, flashing that grin that made my heart skip a beat. "I don't care," I muttered, even though deep down, I knew how much he was starting to affect me. A week later, I collapsed onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. It had been the worst day at the office. Everything had gone wrong. All I wanted was to disappear for a while, away from responsibilities and people. Hey, are you all right? Azazel's voice softened as he approached, his hands gently pressing against my stiff shoulders. What are you doing? I snapped, startled, having almost forgotten he was there. His hands worked expertly, easing the tension in my shoulders. To my surprise, I felt the stress starting to fade under his touch. Even his voice had a calming effect. So what happened? He asked, his voice carrying genuine concern. I sighed deeply, letting it all out. Worst day ever. Missed a red light, got a fine, my boss yelled at me for being late, then my manager piled on extra work while everyone else did nothing. It's like they're out to get me because I don't speak up. Want me to teach them a lesson? Azazel asked. His voice tingled with anger. What? No, I responded, shocked, though part of me considered it. All right, he said with a sigh. I'll do as you say. I chuckled softly. Since when did you become so obedient? He met my gaze seriously. How could I not, when you're having such a bad day? For a moment, I was thrown off by his sincerity, but before I could process it, he turned away. 30 minutes later, with Azazel's hands working over my shoulders, I felt like the tension melt away, drifting into a peaceful haze, until his voice snapped me back to reality. Want me to take your mind off things? He asked, mischievous in his tone. I opened one eye. Sure? I replied, suspicious. What do you have in mind? You just have to sleep with me, he whispered, his breath warm against my ear. I froze, then shoved him away. Are you mad? No way! Azazel burst into laughter. See, you're not thinking about your problems anymore. I grabbed a cushion and threw it at him. Don't joke like that again. He dodged easily, smirking. Oh, come on. It's not such a bad idea. I reached for another cushion, but before I could throw it, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me towards him. We tumbled on the floor in a heap. I landed on top of him, and for a moment, we froze. Then laughter erupted between us, carefree and loud. You're the worst, I managed. You don't actually believe that, he teased. Oh, absolutely. I'm head over heels for you, I said sarcastically. But the words fell unexpectedly true. As the laughter faded, I found myself staring at him, drawn to the sharp lines of his face and the playful glint in his eye. Without thinking, I leaned down and kissed him. It wasn't planned. It was pure impulse. But the moment our lips met, Azazel kissed me back. His response deep and passionate, as if he'd been waiting for this moment. The world seemed too far away, and for a brief, dreamlike eternity, it was just us. The small voice in the back of my mind whispered doubts. Did he kiss me back out of love? Or was it just a demon thing? A few minutes later, Azazel helped me up, his smirk returning. Well, didn't know you were not only adorable, but also a great kisser, he teased. My cheeks burned. It was my first kiss. What? He exclaimed, clearly shocked. I nodded, avoiding his gaze, wishing I could disappear. But what about your boyfriends? He stammered. I never said I had any, I shrugged, crossing my arms. Before I could react, Azazel pulled me closer, his hands tilting my chin to meet his gaze. I'm sorry if I crossed a line, he said softly, his red eyes intense, making my heart race. I nervously laughed. Why so serious? It was just a kiss. But deep down, I knew it meant more to me than I was ready to admit. A week later, I spent the week avoiding Azazel, pretending the kiss didn't happen. Every time we crossed paths, I found an excuse to slip away. But he always found moments to tease me. That mischievous grin never far behind. Still, in the quiet moment, I couldn't ignore the longing. I missed him. His grin, his laughter, even his teasing. Trying to avoid me again? Azazel chuckled, as I came home late from work. I had extra work. I lied, not meeting his gaze. Busy. Busy in that closed building, he winked. Have you been spying on me? I snapped. Maybe. But I prefer to call it watching over you, he grinned. Leave me alone, I shot back. Not until you stop avoiding me. I'm not avoiding you, I muttered, my gaze giving me away. He stepped closer, gently lifting my chin to meet his eyes. Could you repeat that? He teased. Sighing, I slumped. I'm sorry. It's just hard to face you after that. I trailed off. Oh, that kiss? We could kiss again if you want, he smirked. Is that all you think about? I asked, annoyed. Of course not. I care about you. That's why I don't want you wandering alone at night, he replied slyly. Fine, I'll stop avoiding you, but you'll have to stop flirting with me, I crossed my arms. No promises, he winked. You're never going to change, I muttered, giving him a playful shove. 3 weeks later, Azazel and I had grown closer in the past weeks, and I couldn't deny that I was starting to see different, kinder sides of him. There were moments when he seemed genuinely concerned for me, but I couldn't fully let my guard down. He was the Demon King, and I wondered if his affection was just part of a ploy. So, want me to find a place for us to go again? Azazel asked, lounging next to me. It had been a Saturday night tradition for us to visit a place we'd never been before. No, I'm tired, I replied, sinking deeper into the couch. I just want to relax and watch a movie. Azazel grinned. I'll make mac and cheese, and we can watch our favorite horror movies. I smiled, realizing how easily we bonded. It like we'd known each other forever. As I watched him, my feelings for him deepened, though I was too afraid to admit it. Here's your mac and cheese, he said, handing me a steaming bowl. I teased. You're amazing. Azazel flashed his signature grin. Yes, I'm the best. As I watched him, I realized I was falling for him more than I admitted. So how long do demons live for? I asked, suddenly curious. Wow, that was sudden, he smirked. Well, we're particularly immortal, so we live for thousands of years. So how old are you then? I asked, shocked. Well, I'm still young. I'll be turning a little over 1,000 next year. What? You're so much older than me, I said in disbelief. Not exactly. If you compare it to human years, I'm not that much older than you. How does that work? And how did you become a Demon King at such a young age? Well, we age very slowly physically, which makes us closer to humans in appearance. As for becoming the Demon King, I'm very powerful, and worked hard for it, he said with a boastful grin. Anyway, why the sudden interest in me? He asked, raising an eyebrow. No reason, I mumbled, trying to hide my blush. So, which horror movie do you want to watch? He changed the topic. I'd rather keep talking, I said hesitantly. Oh my, you're totally in love with me, he teased. No way. Who would be in love with a jerk like you? I shot back, though a part of me couldn't deny it. Hey, don't talk to me like that. I'm the Demon King, he said boastfully again. I threw a cushion at him to interrupt. Laughing, come here, you, Azazel said playfully. No way, I said, chuckling, trying to escape from him. Wait, I'm gonna catch you, Azazel laughed, chasing after me. How laughter filled the room. I barely had time to catch my breath before Azazel pulled me into another hug, both of us still chuckling as we settled down. I couldn't help but smile, realizing how much I enjoyed these moments with him. 2 weeks later, as some time went on, I found myself falling harder for Azazel. His playful nature made it hard for me to tell if I meant anything to him, or if I was just a distraction. And with him being a Demon King, and me just a human, I wasn't sure where this could go. I won again, Azazel cheered, jumping off the couch. I had introduced him to video games last week, and now he was hooked. Yeah, you're amazing, I muttered, lost in the thought. Don't be like that, I won fair and square, he said proudly. For once, I laughed. Well, video games are more fun when you're cheating, he pouted. Not everyone thinks like you, I replied, my irritation clear. Oh, come on, you're just mad because I beat you again, he teased. I'm not mad, I snapped, frustration rising. What's got you upset? He leaned closer to me, concern in his eyes. I'm not in the mood to tell you, I muttered. Then, are you in the mood for something else? Maybe more than a kiss. He teased, his voice low. My frustration boiled over. Is this all a joke to you? Do you even care about anyone's feelings? Azazel's expression shifted, now genuinely concerned. What happened? A demon like you would never understand, I said bitterly, regretting the words as soon as they left my mouth. What do you mean by that? He asked, visibly annoyed. Nothing. I'm sorry, I muttered, not wanting to make it worse. Before I could pull away, he grabbed my shoulder, turning me to face him. You have to tell me why you've been acting like this. I don't have to do anything. Not that you'll understand, I replied, pulling away. Try me, he said, his voice low and insistent. Fine. I'm behaving like this because of you. One moment you're flirting with me, and the next you're acting like you don't care. I don't know if I'm just your plaything, or if you genuinely care about me. I'm in love with someone for the first time in my life, and it had to be a demon like you? The words slipped out, and tears I hadn't expected came rushing down. Azazel felt silent, before speaking softly. I'm sorry. That's all you have to say? I snapped. After everything? No, he replied. I don't know what to say. Like you said, I'm a demon. I don't understand human emotions, but I do care about you. What? I was stunned. Yes, I've been caring for you for a while now. Not in the beginning, though, he chuckled softly, a sad edge to his voice. At first, I stayed close because I was free from the prison I was trapped in. I was trying to learn everything about humans, hoping to gain power and control over you all. That's why I was interested in you from the beginning. I felt betrayed, my heart sinking, but then I started to care, more than I should have. I enjoyed spending time with you, even teasing you. And when you kissed me, it surprised me, but it felt comforting, almost like I was human. Then do you still care about me? I whispered. Yes, he admitted, turning away. I didn't plan for it, but I do, and it scares me. I felt a mixture of emotion flood over me, relief, confusion, and still a lingering doubt. So all this time, you've been pretending? Flirting, teasing? Was that all just part of your plan? No, he said quickly. At first, yes, but then it became real. It wasn't just a game anymore. I was falling for you. The silence between us grew thick and heavy, with unspoken words. My heart was racing, but my mind was still trying to make sense of everything. 1 hour later, are you still going through with your plan? I asked, breaking the silence. I was, but not anymore. I stopped thinking about it a long time ago, he replied. Really? I asked, still unsure. Yes. All I want to do is be with you. But you're a demon, and I'm a human, I said, sadness creeping into my voice. I know, but I'm willing to try. We have our differences, but if we put them aside, what about your age? You're 1,000 years older than me, I asked. You'd still care about that? In human years, I'm close to your age, he chuckled. Of all the things, that's what you focus on? You stopped your plan. But I wanted to know, what was your life like before? I asked, curiosity taking over. It was lonely, he sighed. I was feared and respected, but I had no one to talk to. I was above everyone. And because of that, it was like a fiery prison. I reached out, genuinely touching his face. You're never going back to that place. I've been alone too. No family, no friends. I was lonely until you came. Do you want to end this loneliness and give me a chance? Azazel asked, his voice hopeful. Yes, I do, I whispered, leaning in for a kiss. As our lips brushed, a spark ignited between us. That gentle touch quickly deepened, Azazel's hands pulling me closer. The air around us seemed to hum with electricity, as I lost myself in the sensation of his touch. His kiss, his presence, every doubt, every hesitation melted away in that moment. Are you sure about this? He murmured, his voice low and husky. I nodded, my heart racing. I'm sure. He kissed me again, this time more urgently, his hands exploring me with a mixture of tenderness and desire. I surrendered to him, to the heat and the passion that flowed between us, as he carefully guided me through every moment, making me feel like I was the center of his world. 1 month later. What are we doing here? I asked, pointing out the massive fire pit in the house. It's for your birthday. No party is complete without a fire, Azazel said, grinning innocently. Remind me why I fell in love with you, I teased. Because I'm amazing, he said, flashing that infuriatingly handsome grin of his. Fair point, I laughed. So, no fires, he asked pitifully. You can have them. Outside the house, I said firmly. Yay! Can I try those s'mores you humans are always talking about? Of course. You can have hundreds of them, I replied, chuckling. His face lit up. I'd love that. Happy early birthday, my angel, he said softly, his voice full of affection. Thank you, my troublemaking demon, I murmured, leaning in to kiss him. After he pulled me closer, wrapping me in his arms, I realized that chaos and all, there was no one else I'd rather spend my birthday or my life with. I knew Azazel had become more than just a demon in my life. He was something I couldn't walk away from, even if our worlds were forever different. The conclusion. Azazel and I both went through changes I never expected. With him by my side, I became more confident and bold, shedding insecurities and leaving behind the job where I felt unappreciated. I found work where I genuinely respected, but the changes weren't just professional. Azazel brought out the wild side of me I didn't know existed. We'd often indulge in harmless mischief, like sneaking into restricted areas to admire the city views, or using his magic for pranks that left people laughing in confusion. His infectious energy reminded me to let go of my fears and embrace life's unpredictability. Azazel stayed his teasing, mischievous self, constantly trying to adopt human ways of failing hilariously. Yet, he revealed a vulnerable and caring side that made him feel human in ways that truly mattered. He was no longer the Demon King. He gave that lonely life up for a life with me. So in the end, he was just a demon, my demon. And every day, I fell more in love with my demon. He became an anchor in my chaos, a perfect blend of everything I didn't know I needed. Together we created our own version of a happily ever after. Messy, magical, and absolutely ours. The end. Have you ever longed for a love straight out of fantasy? Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force. And stay wholesome.